We return to planet Alpha for the second song of Ayreon's The Source, called Sea of Machines. Last time we ended on the biologist talking about electronic systems failing as the day that the world breaks down draws nearer. Now the chemist elaborates further on why this is. The frame is running all our systems, no way to shut it down. Outcries of panic in the distance, fear all around. If it was perhaps not entirely clear from the lyrics of the last song, the first line re-establishes the problem at hand. The second line marks the beginning of the chaos that will come to a climax a couple of songs down the line. The last song was the calm before the storm. Now people are starting to panic. The diplomat also comments on the failing of communication systems that was mentioned last song. No satellites, no radio, no TV. I can't even use my phone. We need to wake up from this bad dream. We are not alone. The diplomat was already trying to convince people that this situation can be overcome if people work together, and he will do so again later this song. His exclamation that "we're not alone" certainly fits this. However, the wanting to wake up from this bad dream part seems more like him not wanting to accept the reality of the crisis. While the prophet was of course introduced last song, this is the one where we see he doesn't have his title without reason. Sea of Machines is in many ways his song, not least because he gets to sing the chorus. I've seen the future in a dream. I've seen a sea of machines. I've seen a realm beneath the waves. Another time, another space. There's a lot to unpack here. The first line tells us that the prophet can in fact foretell the future, and we know this to be true because the next lines refer to things to come, some of which happen in other Ayreon albums. The realm beneath the waves is Planet Y, the planet the protagonists will eventually escape to, and that the album 01011001 from 2008 is named after. One of the songs from 01011001 is even called Beneath the Waves. Another Time, Another Space is another name drop for a song from the album Into the Electric Castle from 1998. It is also the description for the setting of said electric castle. The title-giving Sea of Machines is a reference to what Planet Y will become after the events of The Source. The ocean Planet Y is a literal sea of machines at the time of 01011001. The chemist is still talking about the frame targeting communication systems. The frame is closing all the channels, isolated from the world. The diplomat is still trying to convince people everything can turn out fine. But there's still time to heal the damage and lift this curse. Now we get some characters that were not yet present for this song. The counselor. You need to reach beyond your fear. You need to stand your ground and fight. There's some interesting nuance here in how the characters are portrayed. The diplomat and the counselor fulfill similar roles in that both try to get people to not despair and work towards a common goal, but their approaches are quite different. While the diplomat tries to present the situation in as positive and as hopeful a light as he can, the counselor focuses more on how it affects the people. She recognizes that people are afraid and tells them to fight despite it. She also addresses the people directly. However, the counselor doesn't try to argue that fear is not warranted. This makes sense, since her next two lines make it clear she sees escaping the planet as the only realistic hope. If we're to make it out of here, if we're to leave Alpha alive. Only the captain and the astronomer have talked about leaving the planet being the way forward thus far. The captain now repeats that he is capable of achieving this in his usual self-confident manner. I can sail us to the skies. I can fly us to the stars. I won't allow our race to die. I'll never leave you in the dark. Only the president can match the captain in his assuredness that he will be the one to lead humanity to salvation. I'll find a way to save our kind. After all, I am to blame. Just follow me and I will guide, and I'll release us from the frame. The president does again mention that all of this is in fact his fault, but only one line is dedicated to this. The other 3 are about how he will be the one to save mankind. It's not a group effort that will lead to success. He makes it very clear it will all be his doing. The line, "just follow me and I will guide," is especially jarring in this. Following him is the reason for the current disaster, and now he demands blind trust in his leadership. The captain has a reason to be cocky. He was right all along, and he has the means of fleeing the planet. The president is just arrogantly trying to spin this into some heroic tale with himself as the hero. The chemist is still describing how the frame is ruining everything. "The frame is cutting off the power. We're stranded in the dark." And the diplomat is still trying to get people to act, although it seems he has embraced leaving Alpha as opposed to standing one's ground, which he called for in his last line. "It won't help to hide away like cowards. Make a brand new start." The prophet closes out the song with a variation on the chorus. "I see a comet cleave the sky, in a time beyond time." The comet cleaving the sky refers to the events during 01011001 that will lead to human life on Earth. Time Beyond Time is the title of another song from Into the Electric Castle, and again refers to its weird and mysterious setting. The comet cleaving the sky is however separate from the Electric Castle, so in a more literal sense, saying it will happen in a time beyond time refers to just how long in the future this will be. The prophet continues, "I see a realm beneath the waves. I see a castle deep in space, on the edge of time." The realm beneath the waves is a repeat of the regular chorus, but the Electric Castle is mentioned more directly here than it was before. Unlike just before, the final line refers directly to the Electric Castle, existing in a time beyond time. And there we have it. That's the second song of the album. I do, however, have some more thoughts on the ending. There seems to be some sort of consensus that the Electric Castle is in fact what the frame becomes after the protagonists flee Alpha. I do, however, have multiple reasons why I think that's untrue. Firstly, the Electric Castle is a simulation, it's digital. Future Man guesses as much during the album. Secondly, Alpha will be destroyed later during this album. It's not unthinkable that the frame will somehow survive the so-called quantum supernova, but it's also never implied that it does. Last but not least, there's just no indication for this theory to be true. The frame is only ever mentioned in this album as it's a prequel, and the only mention of the Electric Castle during the source is in this song. The prophet foretelling the Electric Castle does, in my opinion, in no way imply this being the future of Alpha. He also foretells Planet Y and what will become of it, as well as the comet from 01011001. Both have nothing to do with Alpha, so he's clearly capable of foretelling relevant events in the future, no matter where they happen. Saying the Electric Castle is actually the frame is a fun theory, but it's a pretty big reach and not evident from the lyrics. This was the original end of my script, but since writing it I noticed I had made a massive oversight, so strap in. In the first ever Ayreon album, The Final Experiment from 1995, the main character is the blind minstrel Ayreon, who the project is named after. He lives in medieval Britain and receives visions from the future via a program called time telepathy. I do not want to go too far into the overall storyline, as we are still only in the prequel to it, but suffice it to say that it's not an unreasonable presumption that the prophet receives his visions the same way, despite the humans on Earth who sent the messages to Ayreon knowing nothing about Alpha. One particular song from The Final Experiment, namely Computer Rain (Game Over), is heavily referenced here. Many lines there start with I see, as most of the prophet's lines here start with I see or I've seen. The visions Ayreon references are in general darker than the ones the prophet mentions. Here are all the lines which share at least a word beyond the I see. In this song here we have I've seen the future in a dream. In Computer Rain we have I see a future cold as ice. Here we have I've seen a sea of machines. There we have I see shadows of giant machines. Here we have I see a castle deep in space. And there we have I see a planet die in space. There are more lines that can be contrasted, but that would require too much talk of the overall storyline to fit in here. Perhaps if I get to it one day, I will go through not the individual songs but the overall storyline chronologically, where I will have the chance to go into greater detail about how everything is connected. I would like to take this opportunity to say that it's likely I've missed and will miss more cross-album correlations in the future, as I've not yet listened to every Ayreon album to the degree that I would immediately spot recurring lines, themes, or story elements. I research and think about these things while I'm going through the album, which is part of the fun. That's all for this song. The next one will be the fan favorite Everybody Dies. Spoilers, not everybody will die during the song, but it does describe the fate that will befall most people a couple of songs later.